I'm kind of like I think people like my because I'm kind of a unique kind of character.
And I have
Yeah,
the
analytics
Celtics
are
play.
like
I love like
You just see how games and possessions
That's
are more
the
intense, how they mean more.
I'm not
Right?
putting him on.
I think the U.S. is going to obviously win this.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Nothing But Respect. My name is Harry Krinsky. I am joined by Patrick Redford, and today we have the one and only another member of the NBR Hall of Fame, Noah Kulwin. Noah, Patrick, how are you guys doing?
Good to see you again, Noah. How are you?
I'm doing great, man. I'm doing sick.
So
Never better.
It's so good that we have you on because the Knicks had an incredible win last night. But I need to share an anecdote about honestly about Defector's editorial worldview.
Interesting.
I was in my first media league softball game ever. I got called up from AAA to the Defector baseball team. We lost to New York Magazine. And in the game, despite the loss, Max from Hellgate hit, I believe, 2 complete piss missiles, like out of the park, whatever.
Over the fence is the rumor I heard.
Yes, over the fence, like really cooked, right? And that was exciting, whatever. That was huge. There's nothing as old as you will get seeing somebody hit a ball out of a park is just like awe-inspiring, no matter how old you are. And then afterwards, we're drinking some beers at this bar nearby, and Max turns to go. And he said this, I think, because he was a little still fired up, understandably, off the piss missiles. He's like, all right, see you guys later, whatever. And then he stops and he turns around and he's like, I got something to say to you guys, to a crowd of Defector folks. You guys need to cover the Knicks more. He was like, I need Knicks blogs every 2 days. Where are the Knicks blogs? What is going on with the anti-Knicks Defector bias? Like, I know Giddy's blogging about Mitch Robinson, his house burning down or whatever, but like we need daily or weekly Knicks blogs. So the gauntlet has been tossed. Defector, anti-New York media. Patrick, what do you have to say?
We seek balance in all things. I just checked the New York Knicks tag on our website. We have posted 9 stories under that banner since the start of 2026, which frankly I feel is fair and appropriate. Do not look how many times we've used, say, the Sacramento Kings tag or blogged under the "This is so stupid" category, but we've often been accused of sort of a pro-Philadelphia bias over there at Defector, which I actually do seek to root out. But like, unfortunately, as the one of the few West Coasters we have, I just got to hit this all with a blanket. Not my problem. Like, if you want opinions about the New York Knicks, there's no shortage of places to find that. Like, but like
Defector, you would have good opinions about the Knicks, and like the problem with Knicks takes is that like the quality of a take about the Knicks is typically like 3 standard deviations below the quality of a take about like any other basketball team. Like it's like people who talk about the Knicks, and this includes Knicks fans, like they have dog brains. I don't know what to say.
I'm realizing now the last time we had a New York person on as a guest, it was Giddy Nathan himself, and his power. Zoran cut his power mid recording. They were trying to silence his takes. And so we want to get these opinions out there, but we're being silenced. And Giddy himself, of course, resident Knicks fan, is on book tour in Italy right now. So he's got other stuff
good for him.
Yeah, his ass got translated. But we brought you here to give some good Knicks opinions. And something we were kind of talking about before we started recording was like almost this sense of regret of bringing you on, like hauling you up just to lament, losing by 20 points to James Harden of all people. But then something amazing happened. How are you feeling today, Noah?
I'm feeling great. I'm feeling awesome. I think the sky's bluer, the grass is greener. The lunch I had just a little bit ago tasted richer.
Mhm.
And it's because the Knicks won. And it's not just that like the Knicks won. It's not just they had this like record-setting, awe-inspiring comeback that like, shows that they just like, this is not a team with like a single loser mentality to be found. It's also the sense of like a karmic balance in the universe being restored. It's kind of on par with what I imagine when it felt like, like they liberated Auschwitz or the Khmer Rouge fell. There's these sort of moments in history that, you just kind of let them wash over you with the sense of like, progress, but also the acknowledgement that there is more work to be done.
Mhm. What were we saying about Knicks takes being crazy?
That's the province.
No,
of
I
other
mean
people.
it was so. Yeah. That shit was so tight yesterday. It was so funny. Even just like I was in a bar that had the word hops in it, which is like, they're not fucking talking about sports there.
Denver,
right?
Colorado ass.
Exactly. And fourth quarter on, the entire bar screaming at the Knicks, excited about the comeback, like people watching from outside. It was so, I mean, we say this every year, but like when the Knicks are good, New York is 5 times more fun.
It's true. Like and I think part of it is that this year, like last year, the Knicks playoff success was a total surprise. Like the victory over the Celtics, like people don't remember, but last season, the Knicks didn't get a single good win against a quality opponent in the regular season, like the second half of the regular season. It was just like this, I think everybody, myself included, had just been like, this is a team with like put it in chalk, like this is a second round team. It's a second round of team as we've ever seen. Like look at the Pistons. They were just coming off. They were one season removed from that insane disaster tank season they'd had before, and we played them to a really tough 6 games. Probably should have been 7, frankly. And so to have that like that success prior to running into the like the Destiny Pacers. I think that it's the difference in this, like the vibe this season, because last time there was a bit of it sucked to have like your soul taken out from your, like sucked from within, with that Halliburton game 1. But on the other hand, like, I actually think this team, like this year, has a much better chance to actually get a ring. Like if they get to the finals, I think the Thunder look mortal. I think the Spurs are like a better matchup for the Knicks than the Thunder anyway. And it's just like, it's competitive. It's just like, you can look ahead to something and not just be grateful that you're clearing these games. So that has been, at least to me, the real joy is the sense of like expectations being met, and even to a certain extent exceeded, because I do think that the Knicks role players have been outstanding. Like Mikal Bridges sank 2 of the 3 most important buckets last night, with Landry Shamet hitting the 3rd. Like that's crazy.
Yeah,
I love it.
The sense I get that I really like about this Knicks team is like, this is a team of adults. Like a lot of teams that would have like suffered, losses to the Pacers in 2 consecutive years. Like one, because literally every single player on the team tore their hamstring. And the second, because like Halliburton was briefly touched by God. Like they would suffer, I think, like a more serious sort of like mental collapse. Like it's really hard to continue just like giving, these multiple efforts to like defending as hard as they do, to like committing to kind of playing Mike Brown ball, which they only seem to have discovered, halfway through the Hawks series, and yet like have this like now insanely, well in place like identity. But like, because all these guys are like matured veterans who like have lost and have like decided to just continue trying hard and doing shit, like that resilience seems baked in. I guess my point is like, nothing about this comeback felt like especially fluky. Like there's this stat that they had 0 transition points in the whole 4th quarter. It was just like, we're going to get James Harden switched onto Brunson doing fucking nothing. And then we're going to cook his ass like 20 times in a row. And it was just like fucking buckets. Like it was so cool.
To that, I totally agree. And to the Brunson stuff, like this was, and the role player stuff, this is why you get Mike Brown, right? Like I couldn't when the comeback happened, I was saying and thinking of this as it was happening, which is like, there's just no universe where Tibbs is playing Landry Shamet in the fourth quarter and kind of like getting that extra spark and that extra floor spacing that kind of totally unlocked
in
the run.
Tibbs's mild defense, like that happened last year. Like Landry Shamet gets deployed in the Celtics series, and he's like a defensive stopper. It turns out, like he can play whereas like last night, what we saw is that Landry Shamet is all like it's not just the D; he can also shoot a 3-ball, and when he gets into space, and he's given like a quality look. I think to your point though, what I totally agree with is that Mike Brown spent 3 quarters watching what was going on, and it wasn't like Brunson magnet ball like took over, in the fourth quarter as can happen. But like Brown made that adjustment to the 5-out, to just go small, just go like shooting, go small and pick on Harden, and it worked. Like they made a bet, like it was like an active, and he said as much after the game, which I thought was kind of interesting, like because typically like coaches and players will never say anything about what they're doing, like of any meaning, because they don't want to, give anything at all away. But in this case, he was just acknowledging the obvious, which is just that, like, yeah, we noticed James Harden was like tired because he's like old as fuck, and we also know he's a choker and soft, and we'll just like throw like Jalen. Like your job is to like just go at him. And then Deuce McBride said in a post game last night too in the locker room, they were asked like, he was asked like, what do you credit, with what happened with the comeback? And he singles out Jose Alvarado, saying that Jose Alvarado was just like not letting anybody like lose interest in the game, and was like yelling at the starters, like getting them fired up and shit. And yeah, I mean, it's the whole of it. It was awesome. I do think that now it's going to be interesting, like the extent to which like the Cavs can even try to reconstitute themselves right now, because I have had for like 3 seasons now, really, like I've just had an image of them as like a congenitally soft team that like they don't handle adversity well, that like eking by the Raptors was, kind of like was what it was. And it took like the Pistons, like it took Jalen Duren like becoming a different player overnight, essentially, for that to happen. I mean the whole it's I don't know, like the cat, like I'm like the Knicks, it's kind of boring almost, because now we're just back to the same conversation about the Knicks that we were having at the end of the Sixers series, which is just that like, oh, like how like what do you do now? How do you stop them? They're on this win streak. And the Cavs, it's like, okay, what do we do to not like to remember that we almost won this game?
Yeah, I have to say I was quietly expressing some pro Cavs. Not that I wanted the Cavs to win, but that I thought the Cavs could win. Like I was whispering this idea of like Mobley seems to have flipped a switch. Like on paper, they're a really, really good team. They the double bigs could conceivably, if you squint, you could see it, stifling the Knicks. I am. After seeing the fourth quarter barbecue chicken James Harden experience, and I have to, I mean, a lot of like the pundity thing after the game was like, where did Donovan Mitchell go? I thought I saw him get injured. Like it didn't seem like a lot of people were talking about him like nursing a lower back thing.
And also like Donovan Mitchell in the fourth quarter, like it's one of the problems with like the Donovan Mitchell like high scoring, high effort game, like quarters 1 to 3, is that he gets really tired. Like he's one of the most tired legs guys that you can like see on the court. Like you can see him gasping after some sequences, because his game involves like, fucking running around. And I think that he also like the fouls, it was kind of subtle, and like the play-by-play guys were not really talking about it, but the foul, there was like serious foul trouble for both teams, and the game got to the point, like especially in OT, I mean, it's like, what are you going to do? Like guys 5 fouls, guys 5 fouls. But like Donovan Mitchell was rocking 4 fouls like at the beginning of the fourth, and he gets to 5 fouls, and all of a sudden he gets hunted, and like that poses a different problem than just like an additional problem rather to him having 5 fouls. It's like you just start to see like the pieces were there at the end of 3 quarters for like the Knicks to do what they did. The other thing though, and it's not just like Donovan Mitchell kind of getting like zeroed out in his way, was that like Kenny Atkinson, like I look, like I don't know what the laws are in Ohio. I don't know what probable cause looks like there. But like, if I'm like a cop in Ohio, if I'm like a Cleveland, if I'm like a Cuyahoga County, like homicide, like a homicide detective, like I'm looking at a case of attempted murder. Kenny Atkinson left James Harden out there to die. He wanted him to writhe. He was getting chewed to death by a bunch of hyenas. I do not fucking understand how like nine Harden ISO possessions. Like what the fuck was going on? I don't like it was that to me is I will that was the thing that like when I was watching it was not Brunson's balls going in that were like that was like throwing me. I was like, oh no, that's him making shots like in the fourth quarter, like color me shot, like that's not so shocking. It was literally that like Kenny Atkinson like didn't call a timeout, didn't try to like arrest the crisis, even if it meant like not having a timeout in the final minute or whatever. I didn't get.
And
that.
like when you watch those plays, the thing that's like so shocking is that like the Knicks will barely even set a screen. OG will just like walk towards Brunson, and then like Brunson takes one dribble, and then James is like, okay, it's fine, I got this. And then like he just stands there. Like there's two plays I'm thinking about. One is when I think James gets switched onto OG, and OG just like he doesn't even dribble, he just moves, and Harden just goes in the opposite direction. And this is the one where Towns picked up that stupid ass foul for holding Allen on what should have been like this huge dunk. That was just like, man, what are you doing? But the thing that was so striking about that is that like, playoff basketball is often like, it's extremely complex. Like I remember, Thunder Spurs, you're just watching like all these guys execute these, like, is it a scram switch? Are they like doubling behind? They're just like going at such a high level. But what I liked about this game is it's like, we're going to go kill that guy. And both teams know that that's what's happening.
It was literally like whoever has the ball will be able to do stuff if that guy is supposed to cover you. And then it just starts leading to this stuff. Like I was really intrigued with how the Cavs like figured out the beginning of the game where they were like, okay, if we can do this double big and like we can do what we've never been able to do before, and that's like punk Mitchell Robinson a bit, which they did. Yeah. Forget the hack and Mitch stuff. Like that'll come in like it's a rough minute, but then you get to the final 2 minutes and it's usually like from there it's fine. But like they had this, like they were protecting the paint at first, it was really like, and what that does for like the problem that is for the Knicks is that like the Knicks, like they have Brunson, who's a great like shot self creator, but like everyone else on that team is like with the exception of like Jordan Clarkson for like 2 minutes every game, like, and a couple other things like that, like it's or like a Josh Hart layup. Like these guys are not self-creators. So it is about the spacing. And so if you don't have like the Cavs anxious about like keeping the lanes, like, keeping the paint clear, all that stuff, then you're not going to get done what you need to get done. And it was to me just like fucking hilarious how like they did it perfectly. They had done it perfectly. They got a 20-point lead, denying the Knicks like any bit of offensive flow. They're not letting point cat work. They're doing everything to make sure that the Knicks are like stuck in the mud. And then like I'm a believer in the like coaching is a mystery to people who aren't in the NBA. Like I think that it's like a really it's just like such not a transparent job into like what works, what doesn't work, what they're actively doing, what fucking it looks like or whatever. Like I think baseball managing in a lot of ways or football coaching, you like it's easier to determine what, like the markers of what it is. Like I'll never forget remember when Mike Singletary was the coach of the Niners, and I think he forgot like a challenge. Like you see coaches forget rules and it like fucks up an entire game. In basketball that's not like it's less common or whatever, but it's like with this it's like I just have to all of which is to say that like last night I felt like I watched Kenny Atkinson just like he was just standing there, he was like standing there watching James Harden get like get drawn and quartered. I didn't get it.
The most interesting Atkinson adjustment I thought was during this avalanche of just Brunson bucket after bucket. The change he makes is putting Sam Merrill in, and I actually kind of like that theory. This general idea of like, all we have to do is basically score 2 buckets in the last like 3 minutes, and this is fine. So let's put the guy who can space it out there. And like in retrospect, that's a bad idea, but it did seem like the right sort of
I mean,
thing
look,
to
it
do
was half
in
an
the
inch
moment.
from being a good idea, you know? Like,
The aborted Mike Brown bang. Exactly.
yeah.
Bang,
I mean, I think the Merrill thing is like Merrill picked up 2 quick fouls in the beginning of the game, and like he's not a good defender. Like he's over like he does get slap happy, and I think that he paid a price for that. Like refs look for it. He paid a price for it at the end of the game there. And arguably Atkinson should have been conscious of like, like we're both in the bonus. Or we're getting that, like, it's to me like, yeah, I get it. Like Merrill's is as like, close to an ace from 3 as possible, but like, I don't know. I mean, I think that if anything, something that's kind of interesting in the last couple of years is that like, as we are so now fully out of like the Curry small ball era, and you just can't, you need more. I don't know, like you need more.
No, you need to be
Yeah,
doing
like-
everything.
Well, and something that's sort of a theme, I guess, more in this series than the other one is like, you can't be a one-directional player anymore. Like that was my main thought watching the Pistons is like, wow, these guys have like 1.5 competent two-way players. And like, if Arsar Thompson got the ball in the perimeter, you could see every single other player in the court like take a deep breath and like fully reset because like, okay, well, nothing.
All right, box out. Get ready to box
nothing's
out.
happening. Yeah, exactly.
Because it's like either you just like deny the pass, like you just make it so that he has nowhere to pass, he has nowhere to drive, and then at that point it's like, all right, let him shoot. Like let's see what he goes.
Yeah.
No, Tim Bontemps said like they should have benched Asar, and I like thought about it because at first I was like, bench Asar, like what are you talking about? And then I remembered, oh no, it's Amen who has like more touch. And then
slightly more,
like barely more, but conceivably just enough more that is like a difference maker in that kind of series. No, I agree with you totally. I mean, look, it's why Josh Hart came off the floor last night. Like Josh Hart, I mean, this is like, he drives me crazy because when and it's just like, it's why I'm so happy that like the Knicks did get like Alvarado. Like we have like options at guard now, even if not all of them are like fucking awesome, night in, night out. It is like, there are guys who can at least like have a different approach to getting a bucket and like playing quality D, which is what you need from like the Hart level guy, from like that hustle guard. Even if you're not going to even if you can't replace Hart's boards, it's going to be fun.
Yeah. The thing that I keep, like the metaphor I keep coming back to with Kenny Atkinson is that of Chappaquiddick. It's like he's Kennedy. He's like driven James Harden off the river, and it's just like, fuck, dude, somebody's got to do something about this.
Yeah. I mean, Harden. It is like I said this as a joke over and over again, and now it's like officially a meme. But like when they made that deal, I was like, I don't understand how the Cavs like were like, oh, we need to advance around in the playoffs. Like we just got to make like a one last piece style trade where it's like so deep in the apron that like, like we're like, we'll never get out. What do we do? Fuck it, Harden. And it's like, all right, like, on paper, it was kind of a good thing to get off of Darius Garland just because also that fit wasn't working. And, he's younger and it's also good for Garland. I think like it was certainly a player win trade, but like, holy shit, was that not what they like Mr. Slow Legs, And
one of the reasons why they did that trade was that Garland is like a pigeon on defense and everyone tries to kill that guy.
Right.
And the theory is like, at least Harden's bigger. And so just remember to hold that truth in your head in game 3 when the Knicks are like trying to take a 3-0 lead and everyone is just like calling James's ass up as he's just like sweating out of every pore. His like knees are like, he visibly cannot bend his knees. And Brunson's just like ushering his man up. Like, oh, just remember that they traded for him for defense. Like, it's
also it's like, oh, he spaces better. And like, okay, like that's an interesting proposition. Well, one, aside from like making shots being part of that, it's like, okay, he spaces better. To do what? Like, like that's what I was watching last night is like they try and get in all these like really like, and to give credit to Cavs, like that team is like well coached in the sense that like you see them get into actions really like they are moving quickly. They are trying to create mismatches. They're trying to decide like, does Jarrett have does he have an opportunity to make a play inside if we just like push it up? And there's a lot of possessions that revolve around like just Mitchell running at the fucking basket and essentially doing like what to me last night I finally realized is just like super steroid Antifa super steroid like TJ McConnell like running like in the lane just like push it, obviously Donovan Mitchell can shoot the ball unlike TJ, but like the point being though that like the idea and like part of the logic of having a guard who does stuff like that reliably is that it's like, okay, well then the ball, if he has to pass out, he goes it to a much bigger guy who can then just tap it in or whatever. And it's like, okay, like you just see them figure these things out, and it's not like, like it's clear that they have a plan or whatever, but then that plan meets adversity or aging, or I don't even know what it is. Again, like there's still a certain amount of mystery to last night's collapse to me beyond like Kenny Atkinson just like not like, like calling T at some point.
This episode is brought to you by Progressive Insurance. Do you ever think about switching insurance companies to see if you could save some cash? Progressive makes it easy to see if you could save when you bundle your home and auto policies. Try it at Progressive.com.
Progressive Casualty Insurance Company and Affiliates. Potential savings will vary. Not available in all states.
Mm-hmm.
Can I think that's all like that's a very good point. And like, I think is a good way to sort of frame the remaining 3 games in this series, maybe 4. But I want to ask you a question, Harry, because, we have different tastes in players, and Mitchell is, I think, pretty close to the type of player that you really like, but like clearly there's some weird stuff to his game. So I'm just sort of wondering, like, on an aesthetic level, like, do you like watching Mitchell play? Like, what do you sort of make of him as a player on like the Monte Ellis spectrum?
Yeah, it's a good question. I do generally like watching him play, and I like that he's a really crazy shot maker, and then is also has this 3-level scoring thing. I think the lack of playmaking, I think the lack of playmaking is tough. I also just kind of think it's funny as an ardent Steph Curry defender, but it's like, and Steph Curry's a little taller than Donovan Mitchell, but I there's a little bit of like last chopper out of Vietnam for Steph Curry. Like, it's so hard to be a little high usage playmaker in the NBA today with all the limbs that they're throwing at you. And I think, Noah, your point about like his usage, like how much he needs to work to get his buckets, it doesn't seem sustainable. And it's funny, I wanted to ask you, Noah, at some point, say this game ended at the third quarter, what are your feelings? Like, how are you feeling about kind of what went down? But just one thing before I say it is like the part that I felt like the part that I was the most confused about Mike Brown's coaching was they were like blitz doubling Mitchell a bunch in the beginning of the game, and he was, really successful, like dinking it over the double team, and then they were getting these 4-on-3s, and it was the only way anybody was getting any fluid offense in the entire game. And the Knicks just kept going to it. Like, I was like, let Mitchell beat you straight up, but then he did. So, but then the wheels fell off. So it's just it was like an interesting coaching gamble to be like, we're gonna blitz right away, and it like didn't work, but then all of a sudden did work. So I don't know. What did you think about the coaching job?
I think it was interesting. I mean, part of it was that like I think that the Knicks were playing solid defense for the first like 2 to 3 quarters. Like, it got out of hand in the third quarter, but like they were playing fine defense for what the game was. Going at Mitchell and making him have to do those moves, I agree. I mean, it was fascinating, and also again, like, the Cavs have like guys who can do, like, I love Max Strus. I think Max Strus is like one of the best bench players like left in the playoffs, frankly. Like, I think that he is just like, he's a clear winner. He can do everything at every place on the court, and he has great size. It just like, he's like and so they have guys who like can slot in roles. And look, you said like Mobley, he hit 2 threes last night that looked like wet. Like, one was a beautiful three where it is not his shot. It is not his shot, but he knows that he's going to be open at like, with like a clear angle, calls for the ball, gets it, and makes the shot as he's getting closed out on. It goes in, and it looks like, as if like he, like, it was I thought like, all right. And then you look at the Knicks 3-ball numbers and it was like doo-doo. And it was like, all right, so the Knicks are like not hitting any threes. And my thought was like, Evan Mobley is not going to look like, like peak 3 shooting cat for the rest of this game. And I also thought that the Knicks are not going to miss every 3 for the rest of this game. Like one of the things actually watching Celtics games as a result of watching the Knicks play the Celtics or another series is that like you really do see that like when you have a team that plays such an exaggerated version of like the 3-point math ball, you get a sense for how high variance it is. And then like because every team frankly now does a version of that, like you have to take a certain number of threes, you are dealing with that variance and like it will fuck you. And they're, last night a lot of the Knicks looks from 3 were bad. It was Brunson forcing stuff. But, that said, Hart couldn't make a 3, to save his life. And my thought was going into that fourth quarter, like, all right, the 3-ball's not there for us. The Cavs are hitting a bunch of good looks. Like, and then this was the biggest point. Like OG is offensively not where he was like when he got injured. Like he's going to need a game or 2 at least to get back into it. And so taking all that together, I like wasn't worried about the series. Obviously, you feel less good about your chances in the next series, in the finals, if you don't come out of the gate and stomp the fucking like 2026 Cavs. Sorry. I just like to me, like it's not this was the next best thing to a stomp, because it's as much of like a mental victory clearly as it is like a skills one. So yeah, I mean, I was bugging, but like I've died 1,000 times. I was fine. I like thought it through. And at that said, I had a friend over and he was like motioning to get up, and I was like, no, you gotta watch it out. You don't know. And this is not a guy who watches a lot of ball. And he's like, what? And he's like, because he was leaving so we go watch the Padres. And I was like, I was like, dude, like you gotta watch this.
Have some self. I had normal people who don't watch basketball over last night, and I had the game on mute in the background in the kitchen as I was cooking. And then at some point I had to be like, I'm not going to hang out with you guys for 10 minutes because I have to see what happens here. And it was totally worth it. I also like something that's sort of interesting to think about here. Like, the Cavs just came off this like brutal 7-game series, which like we haven't talked about much, but like they had the shit beaten out of them in a lot of ways and like nearly lost to a team with, again, like one really good player. The Knicks did seem fresher. Like we've talked about legs a lot, like that fourth quarter, like I don't think they, can really just surge all the way through the tape like that. And as we sort of move over to the West, like I think that there is a case for, despite seeing the Thunder and Spurs just play like, the 2036 version of basketball, and then the Knicks and Cavs combined for like 80 points in the first half. Like if the Knicks can breeze out of this series, which I know is getting way too far over our skis, and those other 2 teams just have this like 7-game war, like you could start thinking a little crazy. And that is something I like about my adopted Knicks fandom is I feel the freedom to think a little crazy. And so New York, number 1, will never die.
That's right. Well, you have to think crazy because the only way it works is if it's crazy. Like, I don't think that like both because of the nature of this team, like they're incapable of winning shit normally. Like it's the Knicks are 4-3 when down 20 points plus in the playoffs in the last 2 years. Like what the fuck? Like that's like it's that's not real. And neither is like to me the thing I think of like what makes the Knicks feel like have Pacers like qualities this postseason. Like I remember the regular season game I caught of the Pacers where I was like, oh, these guys are going to be playoff devils. Like people are underrating them. And it was like a 160 point game. It was something obscene. And you just like saw like, oh, this is how their system works. And if they get it up to speed in the playoffs, it's going to kill everybody. And I think that like the Knicks are the only team in the playoffs that have really found that kind of level. Like every other team, including teams that are objectively better on paper, like the Thunder and maybe the Spurs, but I really think only the Thunder easily clear the Knicks roster on paper right now. Like, those teams have looked more mortal than the Knicks have in weeks. And I think it's just going to be a really like, I'm excited. I think it's going to be all. I think above all, a Brunson versus SGA situation, if we're lucky to have that come to pass, I think it would like break Jake Hang's brain. I don't know what he would do.
Yeah. One of the other things we wanted to have you on, this actually perfectly transitions, because we got to go to the other side
Yes.
of the globe to talk about Israel. We got to talk about Israel because there was an interesting op-ed that was run in the Oklahoman this week. It has since been deleted. The Oklahoman, it seems sort of like a Forbes or God, what was that other one? Whatever style blog where they don't endorse this person that
like
wrote the
HuffPost.
piece. Yeah, HuffPost.
Yeah.
That's exactly what I was thinking.
And the guy said he wasn't paid.
Yeah. Oh, really? He wasn't paid. Okay.
I mean, it just sounds like he wrote an awesome op-ed that everyone loved.
Yes. So right. A gentleman named Eitan Reshef wrote a guest essay for the Oklahoman with the headline.
With a name like that, you bet it's a guest essay.
Like thunder, Israel is an underdog that has become hated. And there's much to say about this. Samer Kalev wrote on Defector wrote instead of writing about the Knicks, decided to blog about this piece. It was basically deleted 4 hours after it was created, which is awesome. I'm gonna just read a little bit from it, and then you can just let me know what you think about the prose here. It's NBA playoff season. And once again, as fans are glued to their television, there's something strangely familiar abrew between the online keyboard warriors and the voices of punditry as they respond to the continued dominance of the Oklahoma City Thunder, a young, disciplined, strategically crafted organization, impeccably drafted and relentlessly adherent to a culture of selflessness and community, suddenly finds itself resented. The greater the Thunder's success becomes, the more critics are determined to diminish it or even root for its demise. And the kind of implication of that lead is that those words might as well be describing the Israeli government.
Well, I think the next sentence is one of the best in like the English language.
Oh, what is it?
As both a fiercely proud Oklahoman and a Jew, the parallels between the Thunder and the nation of Israel are difficult to ignore.
Mm-hmm. Trying to watch Shea Gilgeous-Alexander foul bait and be like, this reminds me of Israel. Like, I'm trying to relax from my long day of posting about.
I mean, this is like really tough.
Columbia students.
Also, the Thunder are not hated because they somehow gamed the system. They are hated because they mastered it. Israel is not obsessively scrutinized because it failed, but due to its success despite deeply rooted envy and darker historical motives.
Yeah, it's just a Trill Bro dude of the Ball podcast DM'd this to me and Patrick, and it was like it singed my eyebrows off. Like the scorch, the level of kind of like perfect mimetic takesmanship going on here is, it really is just like powerful. It also
he looks like have you seen the author photo?
No. What's he got?
He looks like a Bolsonaro brother got like surgery to look like Glenn Powell.
I was going to say this earlier that Kenny Atkinson these days looks like he's microdosing the substance. And
Kenny Atkinson, I said this video I was watching last night. Like Kenny Atkinson of all the NBA coaches, he is the most like guy who looks like somebody at my synagogue.
Yeah.
Like, like it's really like shot. Like every other coach, it's like Tibbs is like a little too caveman, a little, other coaches, it's for other more perhaps obvious reasons. But like Kenny Atkinson, like, wow. You really do look like somebody at the fucking JCC. Holy moly.
Yeah.
Something that's sort of funny about this story is like you see the headline, like comparing the Thunder to Israel. And before you sort of see the valence of the article, you're like, okay, let's hear him out. Because like
right. Yeah.
Chet and Yahoo has become a meme this year. Like people do hate the Thunder and do hate Israel. And there could be like, there's like potential, like Sammer gets into this in his story where it's like, there actually are reasons to hate Oklahoma City. Like the Sonic stuff, just the general sort of like men's Bible circle vibe of the franchise.
Oh yeah. Like there's such an easily, like, that's also part of what makes I mean, this is why, like, I think people have forgotten the value of like a heel. Like, it's why I love Dylan Brooks. Like, what the fuck are you wrong with you actually complaining about Dylan Brooks? Like, who the fuck are you, Stephen A? Like, come on.
So that is such a, I completely agree that yeah, right. And we'll get into it more, but like yes, there's the contours of a good, of a kind of interesting and funny take here. Like you could, I mean, I might even say that on this podcast, we have compared the Oklahoma City Thunder to Israel before.
There's a greater than 20% chance that has happened.
We just sort of went about it in a different way. I
certainly people have questioned the Thunder's right to exist on our show.
Yes,
you know?
Yes. And kind of, yeah, there's you could even like squint and kind of understand the NBA reffing association as sort of a NATO figure. Like you can tease out something here, but not in the way that he did. I have one other thing I have to say, and I'm saying this as a proud Jewish American. There's a little bit of Seinfeld brain going on here. This is when I saw this, like you can't just say things are like other things. You know, like he made a wonderful, Jerry Seinfeld made a wonderful career out of being like, waiting in line is kind of like grocery shopping, you know.
I'm gonna do something really bad here. I'm gonna tell you a story that you're gonna have to cut from the episode, but it's okay. Like I need to tell you the story.
Okay. Beep.
Alley-oop, Martin. Oh, what a play! And a foul. Pivot, Martin from Brad Miller. That was a thing of beauty.
Wow.
Oh my God.
That's crazy. That would surely get, yeah. Holy crap. But so I didn't
know you knew so much about the history of Mozambique. That's interesting. I actually don't really think that they're that much like the Charlotte Hornets, but I thought it was an interesting story anyway.
Yeah. I thought you were being a little unfair to Terry Rozier, but I see what you're saying. No, okay. Let's actually talk about, I mean, it's just a hilarious, honestly, hats off to Eitan Rashev for pushing the ball forward from a takes perspective. It's a completely insane and tone deaf thing to say. And it's a great transition into talking about what actually was an incredible game. And I can't even imagine a better, kickoff to these two series. That it was such a just such a sick heavyweight. And like what you were saying earlier about the heelness of the Thunder, this is where I think I've always been that and when we've talked about this on the show, but this is where the Thunder hate, like actually hating the Thunder rather than like hating them in a kind of kayfabe way, dissolves. Like the Thunder are such awesome heels.
Yes.
Wemby versus the Thunder is such an incredible, epic battle, and we saw it play out in like all of these incredible ways, and I just think we're this is where I remember how lucky we are to have the Thunder as this like monster to battle against.
Yeah, they're amazing villains, and like their villainhood is, I think, like very collective in nature. Like people will point out these individual things like the Shea foul baiting, which like as my colleague Luis Paez Pumar, I think, really smartly pointed out, is more a matter of quality, not quantity. Like he's not baiting as often as people. It's just really egregious when it happens. But like the point is, that's like one of the main, that and like Caruso's general gremlin things are like the main individual things you can point out.
And
really,
Lou Dort's fucking. Like,
yeah, as I said that, I was like,
and.
But okay, my point is, the thing that makes them really hateable is that there's so many of them. They play this like swarming, like anti-basketball style in a lot of ways. And like having that go up against the like rugged individualism of Wemby, but then you flip the nationalities there is like, I just find this competitive dynamic on like a purely just like spiritual level to be essentially perfect.
No, you're totally right. And then there's even like there's an element of Wemby as like complete game breaker, like scheme buster. This was one of the things I really found myself like, there's just so many places that Wemby was like this scheme breaker of what was going on. Like Wemby is the first guy to make sense because he's fucking 7'10", but like this is the first guy that the Alex Caruso extreme bully ball, I'm gonna guard up, but I'm gonna make your life so difficult that it is actually gonna work. Like that, basically, like the only other guy who can do it at this level was like prime Draymond. Honestly, didn't work on Wemby. Like he was, and I should be clear, it has worked before this exact matchup. Like Caruso has been able to bully Wemby at least off his spots a little bit, and he was just not able to do it. And then you would get this weird swarming defense reacting to Wemby, but it's instead of Caruso on the wing who's able to fly out, you have a little bit of a plodding, slow-footed Chet. And Wemby was just able to pick his spots, go up, like get a shit ton of offensive rebounds, or spray it out to Champagny, who hit a bunch of shots over, and a few of the other Spurs like sharpshooters who were just being guarded by Chet, who ostensibly was supposed to be this like help side demon that makes everything work for the OKC machine, but Wemby's like pure singular insanity like makes the whole thing collapse on itself in a way that's just like, I mean, I just keep going back. It's like epic. It's like
like he got in Chet's head. Like I think, like I think that it's crazy that like Chet, who is just like probably like the second or third most just like talented guy on the court, arguably, like just going on like the raw talent and like I've like kind of long been a believer in Chet. Like I've always thought that he is like the more interesting like between him and J-Dub, I find him to be the more interesting piece of like the Thunder big three, that like non-Shea big three. But I don't know, man, that game, he looked so like, he looked like he had like, he had like weights tied around his ankles. He looked like Wemby had just like had scared him off, like trying any kind of inside game. He's clearly like his mind was in the game because like he steps into these great 3-point shots that are then his only offensive contribution in how many minutes?
Didn't score a single two.
And then Isaiah Harden and like Hardenstein is like not enough, like evidently. Although admittedly I don't like. He was kind of like his performance in that game is kind of a blank spot in my memory.
He played 2 minutes and then Dagnall realized Wemby means you can't play like a single bad offensive player, or he's just going to stand in the center of the court for free and they're not going to guard that guy. And then it's like, you are not going to score within 15 feet. So like, I like that Dagnall just yanked him instantly. Like usually like in the Pistons Cavs series, everyone is like, get Max Strus in there for Dean Wade. Get Max Strus in there. And it takes Kenny Atkinson 7 games. Whereas like Hartenstein, like a critical player for them, 2 minutes in, Dagnall sees it's not working. He's like, nope, we're getting your ass out of there. We're playing 5 out the entire time.
The other thing, oh god.
No.
The other thing I just wanted to say about the Chet versus Wemby thing is like, look, much ink has been spilled recently about the phenomenon of clipping, right? About the ways that clandestine organizations are manipulating our feeds, our attention, right? We got 15 think pieces about it. It's clear that Wemby has hired an army of Discord demons to clip together mixtapes of him and Chet playing when they were 16 and like sending them to Chet. Like the degree that Wemby is interested in doing like ontological warfare on Chet, like single directional ontological warfare on Chet, is so exciting and fun. And I do really think like, I hope we get Chet v Wemby, like to a Dagnall coaching switch up. I really want him to put a Wemby on a Chet on Wemby for my own narrative excitement, but also I think it is like I don't know what else they got in the bag there. So that I hope happens.
I totally agree with you. And I think that the Wemby psychological warfare, I think, is a way to get into like my favorite single thing about watching him in these playoffs. Like we've kind of talked about how he obviates this like concept of scheme generally, because like none of the principles of like, say, running a 4-on-3 work if Wemby is one of the three. Wemby basically played the like perfect contained game that everyone's been wanting him to do forever. Like, so much of the critique of Wemby, and it's offered and always like, you're good at this too, but do what you're really good at it, is like, get your ass in the paint, stop shooting threes, just like control everything. So you see him do that. But even within that like very contained structure, there's all these moments where you can see him just trying to like push through and figure like, because he knows he can affect the game in so many more ways. And so you'll see these moments like where he'll get the ball, with a double team on him, and it's like, you should kick that out. And then like he just tries to dunk it over Chet because he's like, fuck that guy. And like the Steph Curry logo 3 he hit was another one of those moments where like, that actually is probably the right shot in that situation, because like, the Thunder could foul or whatever, but like that kind of boldness where he just like, he senses his ability to deal like a psychologically crippling blow, and he will pursue that whenever he can. And I find that to be like one of the most fascinating things about watching him.
He also, it's like when you watch a guy who's like 7'4", so at the beginning of the game, one thing I thought was really fascinating was how I felt like he kept trying to force it inside. Like he comes up on the baseline and does like, he tries to take like a jumper. And it looks bad, and it's like, all right, Wemby, like, what are you doing? And to me, it's like, then like, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, now viewed in the context of like the full 48 or or the full 58, including the double OT, like what it is that like, he's like poking and prodding, it's like the beginning of the movie where like the aliens are like, they do like a little mini attack, and they're like, oh, wow. Oh, that was it. Oh, we can handle those guys. Right. And it's like, no. Now comes the fun part. Yeah, and in his case, it's like, okay, you're not going to let me have this space, but what about this space? What about this space? What about here? What about there? And again, like the Spurs are such a well-designed machine that like, even with, frankly, like I know the Spurs are young. I also don't think the Spurs have as much talent as like the Thunder and frankly, even like the Knicks, but they're so like, it doesn't matter when you have Wemby. Like Wemby is perhaps like the new Jokic in that regard, that he is like the player remaining in the league who kind of transcends a lack of help, because like he does have like he has some great help, but like 6th man of the year, Keldon Johnson, where the fuck was he? Right. like there's a lot of like that help that I actually think was Wemby and a couple other players like making others look good. Like, I mean, Stephon Castle was a fucking stud. I mean, the guy who, though, of course, like, he's going to get his flowers and is unreal is Dylan Harper. I thought like, I
can't believe that.
I was just like I was fully like, I know everybody was focusing on the guy who had like 40 and 20. I get that, but holy shit, the fucking rookie like point guard who's doing like demon Brunson stuff inside, like, oh my god,
against a team designed to like murder ball handlers.
Yeah.
It's like he's not doing this against like Mike Conley or whatever. Like he's starting without Fox. I mean, he had 7 steals, and he's everything he does is going to be framed around his age. But like as Giddy pointed out, like he might be one of the best like guard finishers through traffic that we've seen in a decade. Like. Yeah. It's fucking crazy.
Well, it's okay. To be fair, like I remember, like I think the guard who I think of now who puts all like guards, all driving guards to me in perspective is Ja, and that's like it's tough because like guards like that, if that's your bag, then like you may end up having like a pretty like your all-star run may be kind of limited, but like Dylan Harper seems like he could do so much more. Like his ceiling just seems huge. It's that like that he has that ability. It's why I made like the Brunson comp, because it's just like if you can do everything, like if you can add stuff to your bag. I mean, like, I thought that it was weird that the Spurs re-signed Aaron Fox. And like now I think that they actually have a problem because like they may be playing better without him.
Yeah, it's been a tough few weeks for the Fox stan community, because he's had a pretty high variance playoffs. Like there was that one game against the Blazers where He really won it for them. And you could see in like the parts of the Wolves series that really mattered, like the Fox Wemby pick and roll is like really, really going well. The problem with him though is that he just doesn't get to the rim as consistently as those other two. And so he just, if he jump shoots well, he's making a good impact. But you could just see the defense, like anytime he pulls up, everyone's like, oh, thank God the 7'5" guy didn't catch the ball and dunk it on our heads for free.
Or
like
one of the like wing-sized point or like wing-sized guards who can just nail it from three, like with like Vassell or Castle. I mean, that Castle I know is not like a serious 3 shooter, but like it's clear that they figured out some spacing thing where they can like. I was impressed.
The Fox thing is so funny because like the feeling is like, okay, the overwhelming freak athlete is not taking the shot when Fox, probably the second or third fastest player in the NBA, is not shooting. It's just not Harper or Castle. The feeling before you're like, where you're ready to tell somebody you've been seeing that you love them and you sort of feel it in your chest. That is how I feel about wanting to say Dylan Harper is better than Cooper Flag. Like it's
it's not the right time, but it's undeniable.
Inside of me,
I don't know. I think that this is like the most classic case of like, well, yeah, him and VJ Edgecombe have like played for teams that got a few rounds into the playoffs, and like whereas like Cooper Flag is like his coach just got fired. Masai Ujiri is now his front office. Like Cooper Flag, we may not hear from Cooper Flag until like 2030. Like it's, I hate to say it, but like I can't, like I actually like I believe really hard in Coop because he looked so good in the regular season. He is so fucked. That team is so fucked. Nico fucked them.
Harry, on a similar tip, I feel like the world has been telling me like De'Aaron Fox is not right for you. You're going to do so much better on your own. You have to break up with him and this association. And I'm like, fuck you guys. No one gets him like me. You don't see the stuff I see. And then I watch him go out there and shoot like 2 for 10 in the first half. And like, surely, I mean, he's probably going to come back tonight. And then the Thunder guards are going to kill him and everyone's going to be like Fox Ewing theory. And I'm just going to be sitting here in this correct conviction that like, you guys don't know him like it. You haven't seen the.
He's actually really cool in private. He's actually really outgoing when you get him alone.
When the Spurs work, De'Aaron Fox looks like a good, like moving, fluid part of it. The trouble is just that like it may end up being that like the Spurs can work without him, and that's where it's like I'm curious about what that front office is going to do in the off season because like the Thunder and the Knicks, right? Like of all the teams that are remaining in the playoffs, like all like these 4 teams, like the Knicks are going to lose people next year because of money stuff, but like their cores are going to try and stay the same. Like we know what those teams are going to look like for the most part. The Spurs, I think actually like they could still be like a major fucking move, that we don't see coming. That is about like shaking up what that. What the cast around Wemby is, and trying to figure out like who are these young guys that we're really committing to. Because if Harper has this much immediate upside and is like this much of a riser, then like you may end up like really fucking yourself by sticking with Fox in this way. So I'm curious.
That's basically the theory of Fox is that like, oh, he can help us win now, which I think even when they made the trade was like, we can win a playoff series or 2 and then get flattened by the Thunder. Until Harper and Castle come along. And now it's like, is Fox the 4th best player on the team? Like I was struck with this impression watching them play without Fox, thinking like this would probably be worse for them if like Julian Champagnie was hurt instead of Fox, because you just pin him and Vassell in the corner. And then like dealing with the Spurs just becomes like a spatial impossibility. It's like defending 6 guys.
No,
and it's
Champagnie
like,
is
such
a
shooting
good example of this because I believe that like Champagnie would look like a mug on most teams. Like I think he's fine. But like on the Spurs, he looks like a fucking 3 god. He looks like Ray Allen, and it's because they create their space. They have like the most crazy spacing because they have like fucking like they have an ent on the court.
Who's awesome? I gotta say, Devin Vassell is so good. Like he came into the league and I was thinking like, okay, he's gonna be just like one of these fragile, like maybe he'll make 7 threes, maybe he'll shoot 2 for 10, but there's not gonna be that much to his game. And like he's got that funky jumper, but like he had that block on Chet.
I was about to say, yeah.
And I was just thinking, like, this guy is awesome. Like every team needs a guy like this. Like he's athletic, he's a good rebounder. He's just like, he makes everything work for them. I love that guy.
On a similar kind of, because I was thinking about why I had so much fun watching that game, and obviously, you know, the stakes and all whatever. But the Thunder have really taken a beating, a lashing in the public eye this year, and I think the lack of Jalen Williams is part of that. Like the lack of him playing all the time, because even, you know, he's still like finding his sea legs like on the fly, but he had a few moves down the stretch. Like he is such a tough bucket, dude. Like,
yeah,
this is a dumb one, but like anytime, and this actually happened many times in this series, because both Dylan Harper and Jalen Williams have this, what I'm about to say, in their bag. But anytime somebody is willing to go behind the back in a high leverage moment, I'm like, aura, unlimited aura, not scared of the moment. And like both of them had a 2 moves where like Jalen Williams like tied the game, I think at like 103, 106 or whatever, or 103, 105, went around the back, bumped maybe Champagny off of him, and then like laid it up. And that he injects a like likability and like a personality into the Thunder that I think is you know, you forget about it when it's just Shea like ruthlessly doing the same 2 or 3 moves.
Yeah, he's so smooth and so direct. Like that's what I like about him, is like these, and you saw it with Shea on the bucket that sent it to overtime, where like he will get it and just no hesitation, like I'm attacking right now, I'm gonna get to the rack. And that, like, I feel like that directness kind of gets to maybe how they could start to attack Wemby, because like for me, the story of this game totally flipped in the fourth quarter, because it felt a lot like Cavs Knicks in the sense where I thought, okay, the story here is that one team can't score on, you know, the other team that is able to play this sort of like goalkeeping center who's just standing in the middle and fucking everything up, which is like Mobley in that case. And then the Thunder kind of started to get some stuff going, not really through Wemby as much, but like just figuring out how to like score around him a little bit. Like you saw it on that Shea play is like you stick Chet in the corner and force Wemby to choose between like helping off of like a good shooter, which the Thunder have, or like, you know, making to play contesting at the rim. And like he can be 2 places at once, but you have to make him be, like, you have to make things hard for him. And so I left like optimistic in the sense that, you know, I want this series to go 7, and to do that, like the Thunder have to score. I left optimistic that the Thunder could find some ways to score. The problem is Wemby is allowed to watch film too, and so we'll see.
Yeah, well, he might be actually flying out to China to meditate for.
We got to talk about that, because I thought I had watching Wemby play this just basically perfect game is like. Okay, the public will turn on this guy at some point. Like the Thunder are the villains now, but like once he wins, people are going to get sick of him because he's so young, and you know, you'll be faced with a fairly certain future of just like, it's now 10 years of this guy or whatever. So like, as someone who staked out an early Wemby position, Harry, where's your head at?
Yeah, it's really confusing here at Wemby. You know how like one of the one thing that certain companies do is like, we need to make it as impossible as it could ever be to like audit our books. Like we need shell companies that are against each other and like own each other, and then are also like trading on dividends of separate things, you know. That is basically what we're doing at the Wemby Hate LLC, where like my issue with him is so contradictory and confusing, and like changes all the time on the court. Originally I had the obvious get your ass in the paint, young man, problem with young Wemby. Now that he's a chiseled 22-year-old, I have no grizzled 22-year-old man, chiseled, I guess, but I have no problem with his play style. I think it's like incredible. The degree to which he has your conversation about Wemby constantly pushing the bounds of what he could be. That is when Wemby is at his most exciting, when he's like airing and like tripping up, but tripping up in the direction of excellence. Like even when he elbowed Nas Reed, like I obviously, you know, you don't like that kind of thing, but I was like, fuck yeah, dude. Like Wemby's like breaking towards something. We're seeing scars. We're seeing like, you know, like wounds that will become scar tissue, which is like what I want out of like, I don't want a kind of unhuman thing. This profile is when Wemby is at his worst. The actually, by the way, right after this game, let's drop that I like spent a certain amount of time dribbling a basketball up a dangerous hike. It's like what the fuck are we talking about? The kind of any time when like, I mean, maybe this is true for so many people, but like Wemby's narrative is so unique and chaotic and beautiful. And anytime he tries to shape it, I'm immediately like, don't shape it. Like, let it happen. You know, like, don't try to wrap your arms around this. Don't hit up Ramona Shelburne. Don't take a photo that you're in the freaking temples with the monks. Like, your shit is already so profound and chaotic that if you just let it unfold, there will be art there. And the desire to try to wrap his arms around his own narrative is where I wish the young whippersnapper would just
I will go further. I will go further. I'm not afraid. I'm not afraid of the lamestream media. How much do you think Victor Wembanyama is worth?
I mean, $350 million minimum right now.
If I owned the San Antonio Spurs,
mm-hmm.
and my $350 million player was like, yeah, I'm just gonna go to like, you know, like East Asia and I'm gonna like dribble a basketball up this like really rickety mountain path in the middle of the night. And like, yeah, I missed a bunch of games last season, but like, no, it'll be good. It'll be safe. If I owned the Spurs in that situation, I would be like, are you out of your fucking mind? So until I see somebody explain how it is that the San Antonio Spurs are like, oh yeah, go nuts, Wemby, do all these things that could like, you know, like just do a Larry Bird on you. You know what I mean? Like, you know, I just don't buy it. So there's just something is off.
You're on team. It's all fake. Because
I know it's not like the moon landing. Like I think he went to China. I think he does this temple shit. But like,
yeah.
When they're like, oh my god, it's this dangerous path, and he's like doing it at night. I like. It's like, okay, I've seen Big Fish. I know what this is. Okay, I don't need the legend of Victor Wembanyama fucking like stamped on me. I agree with you, Harry. Like the most interesting stuff about Wemby is when he's just like, oh, look at me, I'm in China, photo Mao, and it's like not like I went to a Shaolin temple to learn the secret art of inner balance. It's like, fuck that. Like that's too much. That's doing too much.
I agree.
I'm wondering there's a couple interesting things of this story. One is that like he didn't abide by the strict diet of the thing. Like Spurs staffers were going out and bringing him food, and he would like leave the compound and just like gorge on apparently like high protein meals and then come back to like rejoin the Nirvana search.
Yeah.
There's a quote from his agent where he says, sorry, I need to find it real quick. It's in our text. The agent says, the agent can't say if Wembanyama's nighttime trek up that peak is what led him to have that kind of night he had in game 1 of the Western Conference Finals or the season he had. But, and then it says basically he did. Like the thing with Wemby, like his brain stuff, the fact that he can read and all the other stuff that makes him this supposedly like unique, optimized athlete, like that's all true and cool. But like he's 7'5". Like that's why he's good. It's just like, it doesn't need to be more complex. Like that alone is it sufficiently explains the Wembanyama phenomenon. Like, you know, this stuff is cool, but it's not like, you know, we can all see what's going on here.
It's funny to imagine like, you know, where athletes would get in trouble in like the 2000s, 2010s was like I remember Monte Ellis got in a lot of trouble with the Warriors for getting into a motorcycle accident. and whatever, Gilbert Arenas gun, like you just get these people like doing chicanery that you're technically not supposed to do when you're under contract in this way. It's funny to imagine the idea of like Wemby in this like crazy millennial style, like is actually violating the like HIPAA agreements in his contract by like doing too many silent retreats. Like that it's like he gets his contract void because he sprained his ankle on like a barefoot walk. Is that's the like updated equivalent of the Monte Ellis motorcycle thing.
He hit his head on too many tree branches.
Yeah, exactly. So yeah,
we should before we go. I want to ask Noah. You have a new miniseries coming out very soon. I'm very excited about this one.
So it's about the Oklahoma City Thunder. It's about Israel, Israel in the United States. It's called No Daylight. It's a miniseries. It'll be behind a paywall that you can access at blowback.show. It gives you the full thing to binge on May 29th. It is a really special and exciting story. It's also really fucked up, but I think the idea is to sort of give people a sense of how Israel politics have influenced Washington in the last like 80 years, but to do so with these kind of like drive-by episodes at moments where the US political leadership and Israel's political leadership did not get along. And so it's fun. We have some good details. I think a lot of stuff that'll surprise people and a lot of things that'll make people feel very depressed because of how similar things in, say, 1982 feel to 2026. But I don't do what I do to make people feel good. I do what I do to make people feel bought into letting me charge their credit card every month. No, I'm kidding.
It's working on me.
It's once a year, and also I think like this will be a really exciting and interesting way for people to think about Israel and to think about how the U.S. and Israel relate to one another. That is just like deeper than Twitter memes and the very boring account of this kind of stuff that you get in the news. So tune in. It'll be really, really fun. Blowback.show. You can sign up. It'll all be released there. It's called No Daylight.
I'm excited I'm excited for this one. Like I think it's going to be really good. Obviously, I've been over the past few years doing a lot of finding out more about Israel. Like I'm going on Basketball Reference. I'm going on ESPN.com. I'm going on I think it's going to be great. Something like that kind of breaks my brain was like learning that like Bernie Sanders had these very formative experiences in the kibbutz, and like that Israel was kind of like a lefty issue, or it was framed as such in a lot of ways, like 60 years ago, and like that I don't really know how to square any of that shit, and so
we
go
answer
into that question. Is my question?
Yeah, we talk.
Okay,
that's in the first episode. A lot of how Israel was considered like this kind of lefty issue. In large part because of like how Jewish affinities work and how people responded to the Holocaust, and also just racism and the easy disregard that Americans have for indigenous Arab populations, let's say. But yeah, we have good interviews. We interviewed the scholar, like probably the most renowned Palestinian American scholar, Rashid Khalidi, and we've got some other good interviews in there. But in general, like I think this will be good. It's our first time at a mini series. So it's been interesting putting what feels like a crazy amount of effort for something that is objectively a lot fewer episodes than our normal product. But I think that work will show, and I encourage everybody to tune in.
No, that's May 29th, you said?
May 29th.
Blowback.show, you said?
Blowback.show.
Link in bio. Yeah, no, probably everybody who's listening to this has consumed some of Noah's work with Blowback, but with the complexity of the America and Israel relations is like in the way it is currently discussed, I think in the way that we have many people who were not studying Israel over the last 30 years are suddenly embroiled in like what is caring about Israel is like now something that everyday Americans are doing as part of being politically active. It's so complicated, I think lends itself to Israel or into the sort of like their ability to like continue a terrible status quo essentially. And so I feel like what is so unique about Blowback is like the ability to parse through extremely complicated stuff in a propulsive way that doesn't feel like you're reading a textbook. So I just feel like that's a perfect match of subject and auteur.
Well, thank you. I mean, we hope we can deliver.
Beautiful.
Yeah, so many narrative. The last thing, just so many narrative podcasts you can tell where it's like, this is an annotated Wikipedia article. Your ass is like reading books. Like you're like going places and talking to people. So like there's like the level of research here is something that distinguishes you guys, as well as just the general level of craft. So
thank you. Much appreciated.
Yeah.
And thanks for having me on again, fellas.
Yeah, good to see you, Noah.